So to be honest, this is the only one of these I have ever seen, and all of these will sell, even ones that aren't as rare as this one. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to talk about a whole nother area, a whole nother type of item, and something that I just found the other day. Now, this is what's called a service banner. It's a very scarce one indeed, I would say, and this is for the U.S. Army Air Corps from World War I. There wouldn't have been many Air Corps pilots and things like that to begin with. It does say aviation, so it's very obvious what it is. Now, average ones of these can sell for 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks in just okay condition. This one isn't bad. This is typical of what you will find. It's actually stitched onto there. We're going to show you some. We're going to talk about them for a few minutes because these have been around for a very long time, and you will run into these at one point if you do this long enough. Now, this one's made out of wool, which is typical. It's stitched with what looks like silk thread. Probably someone sat there and followed a pattern or something. I don't think this would have been an automated process in 1915, 16, 17 era, which is when this was made. This is a fairly scarce example, though, because it's tied to the U.S. Army Air Corps in that time frame, the time frame of World War I. Some of these can as well sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you know the right ones to look for. So now here's a few other examples of some of the very same thing I just showed you, the service banner. Now, a 1-star means you had one family member, your son usually, in the service. So this person had a family member in the chemical warfare regiment. So they probably dealt specifically with chemical warfare in World War I. It's a fairly high price, $175 almost here. Air Force, though, was a little less common. There were quite a few chemical warfare soldiers, obviously, regiments and the whole works of them. So it's obviously still up there, though you can see it's the same basic construction as the one that I showed you as well. The top hanger for it is identical to mine, so again, that helps you identify the time frame, the age it came from. Now here's another one, and this is for an artillery division. Now, most of these are tan or green in color to match the uniforms of the day. Same thing again, it's been stitched onto here. Now, in some cases, the stitching you will see will be hand done. They followed a pattern in the whole work, so it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly on mark to be original here. I have never run into any fakes or counterfeits of these either. Now, it's easy to know it's artillery because it says that, and it has the cross cannons on the bottom there. It sold for over 50 bucks for this piece here. And here's yet another example of another artillery. Now, each one of these could be slightly different because so many different companies made these. Even with the small hole here or there, it still will sell. Now, this one has the top brass piece cracked or broken at the top, and it does have some holes in it. Now, with items like this, the holes can easily be repaired using material off of these as well. So in some cases, some folks do repair these. Felt is a very easy substance to repair if you're careful and know what you're doing. This one as well sold for over 50 bucks. Now here's a very large one that sold for quite a bit more than the other ones, 150 bucks. Now I would imagine that several of these, the blue stars, are probably their kids, and I'm not sure what the other color stars would designate, but probably another family member, I would gather in this case here. It's a nice one. Banner-wise, it could literally be like a flag style of banner. It doesn't have to be just felt like you see this one here. Here's another one. Now, this one looks like it's probably later. It has what looks like velvet, like a plush velour on the outside of it. And that, I would say, is much later. It has a silk white background with a stitched-on blue star. It has tassels. Not something you see from World War I. So this, without a doubt, I would say is World War II. It's a unique construction. It does have some major issues. It's losing some of the flocking or plush part of it. Some of the tassels look a little damaged there. Other than that, it looks like it's in decent condition. It's still sold for $46. And here's a typical version of what you normally find from World War II. It's not the plush velour. It's just a silk flag or banner that, again, would have hung in the window of someone's home, stating that, hey, I've got a son fighting for the cause in the service. These have been around for at least since World War I, as you saw before. This one looks like the white may be printed onto the flag itself, a much cheaper version if that is the case. So you can see it looks like it has some flaking where the flag or pennant banner would have folded or been stuffed in something. Now, variations and varieties of these can do extremely well. Now, this one has the tassels. It has the typical construction in the fabric itself, as you would expect to find from World War II. The naval vessel on it is obviously a World War II as well. You see the blue star at the top. So this is a family member who would have had this, again, hanging in their window, stating that I have a son or daughter serving in the Navy during World War II. It even says serving in the U.S. Navy down there. Went for $45. Now, it has some tonal issues here. The background isn't in the greatest condition, I would say. Still, all in all, it's a pretty decent item. They just don't show up these varieties or variations of these. And here's yet another one. This one sold for almost $90. This does appear to be a World War II one as well. Looks to be like a screen-printed version on... Maybe this one is felt. It's kind of hard to tell. Kind of reminds me some of the fabric on some of these, like the felt pennants you will see for like theme parks and sports-related things from the 30s, 40s, and 50s as well. The stylistic uniforms in it would dictate that it's most assuredly World War II. The portrayal of Uncle Sam, the eagle, is typical of what I also run into from World War II. This one went for more because it has Uncle Sam on it. Now, these weren't just available here in the U.S. Other countries did the same basic principle. Now, here is a pennant, just what you would expect to see. Australian Women's Army Services. So it's like the wax here. Women's Auxiliary Services. So it's basically the same type of thing, but from Australia. You will see British versions of it. I've seen some with bulldogs and things along that line, stating my son's in the military and things along that. So there's a ton of different varieties and versions. The more unique it is, usually the better it will do. Foreign ones do not show up anywhere near as much as the U.S. versions, at least here in this country. So they, in some cases, will get a premium like this $100 plus pennant here. Now, if you look through Terapeak, and I'm just in the World War I section and U.S., there's quite a few up here. Not a ton of them, but when you do run into them, you're pretty much assured, especially if it's a World War I, that it's going to sell for some pretty decent money and sell fairly easily. You can see some more common ones from like the Marine Corps are still selling in the $100 range, or this one here for the Medical Corps. But a aviation one like we found is just, they just don't show up. That, as I said, is the only one of those I have personally ever seen or ever ran into. It might be on the rarity scale of this Machine Gun Division 1 here with the discs. Could be worth a few $100s. So if you want to see some neat items, you want to see a wide variety of these, take a look through Terapeak and eBay's ended listings in the World War I section, as well as in the World War II section, because the World War II section has more than twice as many that have sold. Most of the nice condition ones, the variants and varieties and versions, sell for some pretty darn good money. So if you spend a few moments here, you might see something very interesting, unique, historical here to look out for that can always get you some good money. I have never had to sit on one of these service banners ever. If you have better information, you can tie it to, say, a pilot from the U.S. Army Air Corps from World War I. That would even add further to it as well. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
Hey, Jorman, Cobra, wait till you meet Slaughter's Marauders. Slaughter's Marauders, camouflage, they can't be seen. But you better believe they're mean, they're mean. There's me, and Spirit, and Footloose on the attack.
Slaughter's Marauders to the rescue.
Hey, this.
Go, go.
Nobody beats G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, Slaughter's Marauders.
Equalizer, Armadillo, and Lynx. Figures sold separately.
Nobody beats G.I. Joe. Yo, Joe.